Hello guys, welcome to Net Experts. My name is Sudhanshu Kapoor. So in the last session, we'll discuss about user security in Server 2019. We'll discuss about the theoretical part only. But in this session, we'll talk about the Hyper-V. And don't need to worry about that. We'll discuss the practical part also, that previous session practical part also in upcoming videos. So let's start with the Hyper-V today. So as you can know that Hyper-V. So Hyper-V is what? First we understand is what is Hyper-V. So Hyper-V is what? It's a hardware virtualization role that is in Server 2019. That is available in Server 2019. It's not available in Server 2019. As you can say that Hyper-V available in 2012 onwards. 2008 also we have Hyper-V. 2008 R2 server onwards we have Hyper-V. 2012 also we have Hyper-V. 16 also and then 19 also we have Hyper-V. So 2008 R2 onwards Hyper-V is there. It's continuously. Okay. Now, if we talk about the Hyper-V, so Hyper-V is what? It's a virtualization software, or you can say it's a virtualization role inbuilt in the servers. Like if you want to do virtualization, so what do? You have, like, imagine this is my physical server. You can install 2019 over there, and after that you can install Hyper-V. Once you install Hyper-V, with the help of Hyper-V, we can create virtual machines. We can create virtual machines 1, 2 like this. Okay, as per the requirement. So this is what we have Hyper-V. Now, second point is, hardware virtualization allows the hardware capacity of a single physical computer to be subdivided and located to the multiple VMs. Means, now we talk about the hardware virtualization over there is, what is hardware virtualization? So what is hardware virtualization is, it allows you to hardware capacity of a single physical computer. You can say, like, if you have a single physical computer, I want to divide that physical computer to some parts. Okay, so that parts is known as virtual machines. So we can, when I'm going to create virtual machines to a specific server or to a specific hardware, so we need to divide that hardware and then I'm going to create the virtual machines. Like imagine if this is my hardware, I have over there 8 GB RAM, okay, and we have, imagine 500 MB hard disk with me, okay. So now 8 GB, like imagine if I have 8 GB, so we can create multiple virtual machines. Like I can create one virtual machine with the help of Hyper-V, and I can occupy allot 2 GB RAM for this virtual machine. So out of 8 GB we can give 2 GB to this virtual machine. Okay, and out of 500 GB, sorry, it's not MB, it's GB. 500 GB hard disk I have. So out of 500 GB I can allot 40 GB to this virtual machine, like this. Okay, this is what we have, the hardware virtualization. So it allows you to divide your physical machines to some parts. That parts is known as virtual machines. Okay. Number third point, when you install Hyper-V, software layer is known as hypervisor. So Hyper-V is a software based hypervisor. As you can see, we have two types of hypervisor, hardware based and software based. Okay. So Hyper-V is a software based, means we need one operating system first, and after that I am going to install Hyper-V like this. Like same, I can install the 2019 server and then I can install Hyper-V in that. Or you can use Windows 10 also to install Hyper-V. You can use Windows 7 also to install Hyper-V. You can use Windows 8 also to install Hyper-V. Hyper-V support these operating systems too. Now the fourth point is, the hypervisor is responsible for controlling access to the physical hardware. The physical hardware means that, like imagine the same thing, like I can install Hyper-V in the physical server, and then I can allot my hardware to the virtual VM, to the virtual machine, to the VM. Okay. So with the help of hypervisor, like if I not install Hyper-V in the systems, so I'm not able to go to create virtual machines. It's not about Hyper-V. Like we have other, you can say that softwares also. Like we have VMware Workstation, we have Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, so these are the third-party softwares we have. If I want to use Microsoft virtualization, we can use Hyper-V. Okay. Now, what operating system supports? OS running in VMs. If I talk about the OS, like imagine I have a Hyper-V and I can create one VM. So which operating system I can install in this VM is 2008 Service Pack 2, or later operating system. If I go to server VM, if I want to create a server VM, so we'll start with 2008 Service Pack 2 onwards. So I can install Server OS 2008. Okay, and then later 2008 R2, okay, 2012, 16, 19, we can install these operating systems. If you want to create a server virtual machine, if you want to create a Windows virtual machine like client, it starts with Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, these things. If you want to create the Linux editions, if you want to create the Linux our virtual machines, then we can use CentOS, Red Hat, SUSE, okay, and so on and so on. So these are the OS running in the virtual machines we can create. Okay. Okay, so I will talk about the what is Hyper-V. Now we'll talk about the features. Hyper-V features. If we talk about the Hyper-V features, what Hyper-V features it provides you? So number one is Hyper-V Manager. So when you install Hyper-V role in server 2019 or 16 or 12 or 8, any server, so Hyper-V Manager is automatically installed. Through Hyper-V Manager we can manage Hyper-V virtual machines. If you want to create virtual machine, if you want to delete virtual machine, modify virtual machines, if you want to configure storage, if you want to configure networking on Hyper-V, so we can use Hyper-V Manager. Now next we have a nested virtualization. So it allows you to install Hyper-V role in virtual machines. Now what is the concept of nested virtualization over here is, like imagine that I have one server like this. Okay, this is my physical server. I can install 2019 over there and I can install Hyper-V like this. Okay, now I'm going to create one VM. Like imagine we have VM1. I create VM name VM1. Okay, now if I go to VM1, now Microsoft told you that you can only install one hypervisor in one physical machine. Okay, we're not able to install another. Like if I want to install a Hyper-V on this virtual machine again, so I'm not able to do that. Why? Because Microsoft told you that only one hypervisor is running at a one time. Okay, at one stretch of one time we can use only one hypervisor. So we already installed Hyper-V on physical machine, so we're not able to install Hyper-V on virtual machine. So if I need to install, so what we need? I need nested virtualization. So what I need to do? I need to enable nested virtualization on this particular virtual machine. Once I enable nested virtualization, NV in short form. So what happens? You can install another Hyper-V on this virtual machine, and with the help of Hyper-V, we can install another virtual machine in the virtual machine again, like this. So this is the concept of nested virtualization. This nested virtualization starts with server 2016 onwards. In 2012, there is no nested virtualization in Microsoft. If you're using VMware, they have the nested virtualization concepts. But then if you talk about the Hyper-V, so there is no nested virtualization concepts before 2012 operating systems. If you go for 2016 onwards, this nested virtualization is started. Okay. Now we have a shielded virtual machine. It secures VMs from unauthorized access. Now what is the meaning of shielded? Shielded means that it's a protection of your virtual machine. If we talk about the virtual machine, like imagine I can create one virtual machine, okay, and I want to protect my virtual machine from unauthorized access. I want that no one is able to access this virtual machine, okay, which I'll give the rights to a particular specific users. That user is only able to access the virtual machine. That's why we can use shielded virtual machines. Okay. Now next we have a Windows PowerShell Direct. Now what's the meaning of Windows PowerShell Direct is? Windows PowerShell Direct allows you to run PowerShell commandlets on a VM from the Hyper-V host. Like imagine over there, like imagine again I have a server. This is 2019 server and this is my Hyper-V host. Now which machine is the Hyper-V host where I can install Hyper-V? On a particular physical machine, that physical machine is known as Hyper-V host. So imagine that this is the Hyper-V. I can install it. This is my Hyper-V host 1. I call Hyper-V host 1 to this machine. Now I have some commands I save in this particular physical machine. Now I can create one VM over there, VM01. Now I want that the commands I saved in the physical virtual machine, I want to run that command. Means I have some commands which I am saved in my physical server, the Hyper-V host. Now I want to run those commands in virtual machine. So with the help of Windows PowerShell, we can do these things. Okay. Now next we have a hot add remove network adapters in memory. So what is the meaning of hot? Hot means hot swappable. Okay, it means that on the running virtual machines we can add the LAN cards. We can decrease or increase the memory as per the requirements. We don't want to shut down the virtual machine in that case. Okay, on the running virtual machine we can do that. We can add the adapters. We can remove the network adapters. Network adapter means LAN cards. Okay. Now we have another is Linux Secure Boot. Now what is the meaning of Linux Secure Boot? Linux Secure Boot is a very good feature provided by Hyper-V. With the help of Linux Secure Boot, we can secure our Linux VMs. How we can secure? What he do? This Linux Secure Boot is running when your Linux virtual machine starts at the time of booting process, this secure boot is running and it verifies the drivers with digital signatures. Understood? It verifies the drivers. Whatever drivers whatever drivers we have in the virtual machine, it verifies that whether these drivers are actually original or not, like this. Okay. So this is what we have, a Linux secure boot we have. Now next we have a VM configuration version. Provides VM capability with Windows Server 2012 R2. So we have actually two versions, 5 and 6. We have two versions in VM configuration versions. We have 2, 5 and 6. Okay, so like imagine that if you have a physical machine, like if you have a Hyper-V host 2012. Okay, now I want to migrate my VM to Hyper-V 2016 or 19. So we need to verify that like imagine I can migrate. Like imagine this is my 2 Hyper-V host. This is 2012 and this is 2019. Imagine, okay. Now I have a VM1 over there. Now I need to migrate this VM to this Hyper-V host, VM1. What happens in that case? If you want that this VM is also compatible with 2012, so you need to change the configuration version number also. Okay. By default we have 5. We need to go to 6 in that case. So this is the features with Hyper-V. So we'll talk about the Hyper-V features. Now we'll talk about the requirements for installing Hyper-V. If I need to install Hyper-V on Windows Server 2016 or 12 or 19, so what are the requirements? Number one is we need 64-bit processor. It's mandatory. As you know that Windows Server 2008 R2 onwards, your operating systems works on 64-bit. Server operating systems mostly works on 64-bit only. Okay, so we need 64-bit processor. Number one. Number two, we need minimum 4 GB of RAM. Okay, to install Hyper-V role in Server 2019-16, anything. And we need to enable Intel VT. VT means virtualization technology should be enabled. So you can say that in your processor, you need to enable VT. Okay, so how you can enable VT? You need to first go to BIOS and then you can enable VT over there. In the BIOS, you have the option VT. So you need to enable it. If you not enable VT technology, okay, so what happens? You're not able to install any hypervisor. It's not only for Hyper-V. You're not able to install any hypervisor, whether you have a VMware or Oracle or Microsoft Hyper-V, and any hypervisor you can say that. Okay, so these are the 3 basic requirements we need to know to install Hyper-V. Now next we talk about storage on Hyper-V. The topic is storage on Hyper-V. So we talk about the storage on Hyper-V. So we have 3 types of storage formats. We have 3 types of virtual disk formats in Hyper-V. Okay, number one, .vhd, .vhdx and .vhds. Okay, so if we talk about the VHD is a older format. Okay, so the size of VHD is 127 GB. Like if your hard disk works on .vhd format. Okay, so what happens in that case? You can create a hard disk up to 127, not more than that. Okay, fine. Now next we have a .vhdx format. It's the upper version of VHD. So this hard disk supports 64 TB of space. So till 64 TB of space you can provide the hard disk. Like imagine I have a physical server and we can provide, we can create virtual machine to a physical server, okay, and we can give 64 TB of space. So you can go for that. Now last we have a .vhds. So VHDS is a format is specific to shared virtual hard disks. This is a type of virtual hard disk that multiple VMs can access at the same time for high availability with clustering. So you can say that like I have a common virtual disk and all the VMs are able to access that virtual disk and save the data. So that type of hard disk is known as .vhds. These VHDS hard disks mostly used in clustering. Remember these things. High availability with clustering. High availability means failover clustering. Okay, so we already talk about failover clustering in this series. So those who doesn't know failover clustering, please check those videos. Okay. Now this is what we have. Now next we have the types of virtual disks. Okay, this is the format. Format means which format used Windows to save the disk. So we have 3 types of format. So like imagine if you have a .vhd hard disk, you can convert them to .vhdx, no issues. If you have .vhdx hard disk, you can convert them to .vhds also. Okay. Now next we have a types of disks. If it knows as a type of virtual disks, so number one is fixed size. Now in that, what happens, like imagine that when I'm going to create the virtual machine, they ask me what type of disk you want to create. Okay, number one is fixed size. In fixed size, the type of virtual disk allocates all the space immediately. Like imagine that I can give 40 GB to my virtual hard disk. It doesn't matter whether I can save my data or not. It's deduct 40 GB immediately. Okay, when I create the hard disk. It doesn't matter whether you can save the data or not. In dynamically expanding, what happens in that case? This type of virtual disk allocates space as required. It means that, like imagine if I give 40 GB to the same virtual machine, so what happens in that case? Like imagine out of 40 GB, I can use only 10 GB. So I deduct only 10 GB to my physical server. It's not deduct full space immediately. Understood? Okay. This is what we have, the dynamically expanding. Okay. So this type of virtual disk allocates space as required. So whenever you can use that space, that time it deducts the space. Okay. With your hardware, with your physical hardware, with the physical machine. Now you go for pass-through disk. Pass-through disk is this type of virtual disk provides direct access to the physical disks. Like imagine that if you want to access directly with your virtual machines, with your virtual machines you want to access directly to my physical disk, to the Hyper-V host disk. So you can use pass-through disk in that case. Okay, you can save the data with with this disk on the physical Hyper-V host. Now last we have a differencing. So differencing is used to reduce data storage requirements. Okay, so if you need if you want to reduce your data storage, okay, so that you can use differencing. So we can understand differencing concepts later when you go to the practical. Okay, in that time I'll explain you briefly that what is differencing in that case. Okay, now note you need to understand is that store VHDs on local disk, SAN and SMB file share. So we can store these VHDs, these virtual hard disk formats and these virtual hard disks with where you can store these. You can store with your local disk also. Like I have a physical server, in that I can save my virtual disks. You can save these disks in the SAN also. If you have a SAN storage, you can save. And if you have a SMB storage also. SMB means, I already told you in the previous videos that SMB is a protocol. Okay, server message block. This is a protocol. If you want to share something, if you want to share files and folders or storage, in that case we can use SMB. Okay, so we can store over virtual disks in SMB storage or SMB shares also. Okay, so in this we talk about the networking on Hyper-V. So we'll cover three things. What is Hyper-V? Storage of Hyper-V, types of hard disk formats, type of hard disks, virtual disks, and requirements of Hyper-V installation. Now we talk about the networking on Hyper-V. So if we want to communicate the virtual machines, so what we need virtual switches. Okay, like imagine if I have two VMs, VM1 and this is a VM1 and we have a VM2 with me. If I need to communicate these two VMs, so what we need virtual switches. With the help of virtual switches, we can communicate the VMs. Like how we have a physical machines, like if you have two physical machines, PC1, PC2, if I need to communicate these two physical machines, so what I need cables or I need a physical device like switch. So the same over there we have a virtual switch. So virtual switch are virtual device, it's a virtual device that you can manage through the virtual switches manager. So we can create multiple virtual switches in Hyper-V with the help of virtual switch manager. This is the tool which is automatically installed when you're going to install Hyper-V. Okay, so with the help of this virtual machine manager, we are able to manage virtual switches. Now Hyper-V support three types of virtual switches. Okay, so try to understand this guys perfectly, that if you want to communicate the VMs properly. So we start with the private one, private virtual switch. If you talk about the private switch, it's used only to communicate between the VMs. Like if you have multiple VMs, it doesn't matter how many VMs you have. Okay, like imagine like this, I have a host. This is my 2019 Hyper-V host, Hyper-V host 1. Okay, and I can create n number of virtual machines. Like imagine you have VM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like I have 5 virtual machines. Now I want to communicate these 5 virtual machines together. So what we can do? We can use private virtual switch. It is used to communicate only. It is used only to communicate virtual machines. Okay. Now next we have an internal virtual switch. So used to communicate between virtual machines and the Hyper-V host. Like imagine now I have a VM1. Okay. Now I want that these VMs are able to communicate, is okay, but I want that these VMs are able to access my Hyper-V host too. So for that what I need internal virtual switch. So what happens in that case? Your VMs also able to communicate with your physical machine as well. Okay, if you want to access your physical machine with the help of VMs, so what we need a internal virtual switch. The last one we have an external virtual switch used to communicate between Hyper-V host 1 VM and Hyper-V host 2 VMs. Like now we have two Hyper-V machines like this. Like this we have two Hyper-V machines. This is host 1 and this is host 2. Now in that we have a VM1 is running over there and VM2 is running over there, and these hosts communicate with each other with the help of cables and devices. Now what I want that I want to communicate this VM, I want to connect this VM to this VM virtually. So what I need external virtual switch. So it means that if you have multiple Hyper-V hosts and you want that I want to communicate different host VMs with each other. So what I need external virtual switch. So that's what we have the Hyper-V. Okay. So if you have any doubt, anything, please let me know. Please write your questions, write your doubts in the comment box. I definitely answer to you all your questions. That's it for this session, guys. Thank you very much for watching.